Gloria Strode, and welcome to Straightforward. We are on location in Orlando, Florida, and we are on a mission to highlight some of the most amazing women in leadership. And my first guest, I'm so excited to see her, have not seen her in quite some time, is the amazing Andrea Clenney. Andrea, it's so good to see you.
It's fantastic to see you.
I tell you, I always can remember you being at the NBC station in Columbus, where I first met you and your lovely mother, as you've had this long journey of over 40 years in TV.
Yes.
And I would be so tickled when we would get the young college students in. You were the news director, and I would look at you and think, really, clearly, whatever they learned in theory was really not happening on the floor practically. But you were the station mom.
Yeah.
You had the patience as a news director. I saw you walk people through the process with helping them to select the right stories and how to edit, and I thought, this is a teaching job.
It is, very much so.
Really?
Yeah. In fact, some of my students would call me, and some of my employees would call me, Mama Clenney.
Yes.
Because I really did. I had to teach them so much because they really weren't getting that practical experience.
Exactly. It was theory or what they thought they knew about the business.
Right.
And even when we had breaking news, I would never forget seeing you running down the hall to where Vince and Holly was and trying to get everything going. Yeah. And if we had the weather alerts and things like that, you wore a lot of hats.
Yes, I did. And that's just the way it goes in small markets.
Really?
Yep.
So,
Sure.
But you've been to larger markets on this journey, and you've kind of gone full circle.
I have.
So you started here, you're from Orlando area.
Yes, yes.
And so share with our audience, because I want to enlighten these young people.
Right.
You might get a degree and you have your dream, but you don't always start at the top.
Right.
You're not going to be Robin Roberts on Good Morning America.
And not making the big money.
You will not. You got to start where you have to start.
Exactly
right. Okay, so share with our audience how you got your education and where this journey of over 40 years has taken you.
Well, I graduated from UCF. I got my degree in film.
So that's University
Yeah,
of Central Florida. Okay.
Right. I jokingly say it's the Oxford of Orlando.
Okay, the Oxford of Orlando. We like that.
And I was very lucky enough to get a job right out of college with the ABC station in town.
Okay.
And I started working in production. That's the department that does all of the cameras and directing and the audio and all that. And I did that for a couple of years, and then I moved into engineering, and that department they're the ones who would load the shows that would air when the news wasn't on. They would load videotape, various videotapes, or films in the middle of the night. We even had a film chain back in the day.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, that's how old I am. And then I got the chance to move into news, and I became, initially I was a investigative producer.
Oh, and we miss so much of that. The old ways, the Walter Cronkite in those days.
Yep.
Now we have so much internet news, it's different.
It
but
varies.
you were in this business before we got to this
Exactly.
Right.
And I answered a lot of calls. Most of the calls were from people who bought a used car and it broke down and they want their money back. Well,
that's not
a used car is a used car.
Exactly.
And you get the problems with it. And then I was able to move into being a news producer, and that's the person who is in charge of building what we call the rundown, what the show is going to look like, what we're going to lead with, what reporter is going to do that story, what's it going to look like, will we be live from someplace. So I did that. I did the morning show. I produced the morning show.
Oh, that's a tough one.
It is.
You have to go to sleep at night.
Yes.
I've seen that in the station. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really difficult to do. So anyway, I was here for 10 years, and then I went, as a producer, I went to Tampa, and then Austin, Texas.
Okay.
And then
so those were bigger or equal?
Bigger market. So Tampa is a much bigger news market. There were 210 news markets.
Okay, didn't know that.
Yep,
Okay.
yep. And they're listed in order of population. So of
Okay.
course, New York City is
Yes.
number 1.
Yes.
Actually, Orlando now is number 16.
Really?
Columbus, I'm not sure what it is now. I think it's around 105, something like that. So anyway, I went to Tampa, which is number 13. It's the largest. You'd think Miami would be the largest
Right.
market in the state, but it's Tampa.
Really?
And then I went to Austin, which is now somewhere in the 40s in size. And then Augusta, Georgia, and that's around market 105, 110,
Right, because that's right on the border of South Carolina.
Yes.
So if you're over in that area, you might be hearing South Carolina news.
Exactly, and Columbia,
Yeah,
South Carolina is a
right,
market
right.
itself.
Mm-hmm.
So Augusta was my first management job. I was an executive producer there.
Wow.
Then,
With more headaches.
yes.
Responsibilities.
But I will tell you, it was the most fun. It was the most fun newsroom because it was a brand new newsroom.
Okay.
And so we created and hired everybody and created all the systems.
So you were able to build the team and
Yes.
the systems, not trying to adapt.
We didn't inherit anything.
Exactly.
And so it was wonderful. And then I went to Syracuse, New York.
New York.
This southern girl in
Oh, right.
upstate
So
New York.
someone from Central Florida, where it is sunny and breezy, and you go to
New York.
the snow.
Oh, a lot.
Well, you need a real coat.
11 feet of snow
Okay.
every winter. So I lasted a year and a half. I started saying an hour and a half.
Right,
but no,
about a year and a half. Yeah.
And then I moved down to Wilmington, North Carolina, and that was my first news director's job.
Really?
And went through several hurricanes there. I'd never been through one growing up in Florida, but I went through several, and one was really bad, Hurricane Floyd.
Mm-hmm.
And then moved up the road to Greenville, North Carolina as a news director.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to the man who had hired me in Augusta, the news director. He had gone to Denver and was running a newsroom, and I had always wanted to live and work in Denver. And so he hired me as his morning executive producer. And so I spent 10 years out there.
With more snow.
Yeah, but not as bad.
But not as
Never
bad as New York, but it
No,
snows.
no,
Yeah.
not
But
bad.
beautiful mountains.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And then went to Gainesville, then Columbus,
Okay.
and then back to Gainesville briefly. And then I got the job in Huntsville, stayed there for 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I ended up getting cancer.
Right.
And that just sort of changed
Your perspective.
all kinds of things for me.
Right.
That's why the hair is a bit short.
But that's okay because people pay to get the hair that short. But what we're going to do is going to put a pin right here, go to our first break to our sponsors, and we'll be right back. We'll be right back after word from some of our sponsors.
Straightforward is brought to you by State Senator Ed Harbison, serving the citizens of Georgia's 15th Senatorial District and on the front lines for veterans every day. Progressive Funeral Home, family owned and operated since 1952. The George Ford legacy of high standards continues today in the compassionate and professional services provided. A touch of dignity for those who care. Progressive Funeral Home, 4235 St. Mary's Road, trusted by generations. Whole Patient Healthcare. Dr. Jada Rimes-Bacote is board certified in family medicine. She believes the best patient care includes practical, individualized lifestyle changes. Located at 1338 13th Avenue, Columbus, 706-641-2080, or visit wholepatienthealthcare.com.
And welcome back to Straightforward. We are on location in Orlando, Florida with the legendary news lady, Andrea Clenney. And unfortunately for us in Columbus area, Chattahoochee Valley, she got another assignment and she moved on. But you did so much to build the station, the team. I saw you train the greenness of the green coming out of CSU and other schools.
Right.
Taking what was already there, because you were able to go to another market and build the team and
Right.
get all new everything. Well, when you came, in our market, you just had to work with what was there, people
Sure.
and the equipment, and you did a fantastic job. And it was our loss that you went on to higher ground, but that's what successful people do. So you went to Huntsville,
Yes.
you and Mom.
Yes.
But when you were in Columbus, in addition to keeping old dark 30, 800 million hours in the news business, you decided you wanted to be adoptive mother.
I fostered some puppies. I highly recommend it if you love animals. I fostered what they call the Demodex puppies. Those are the ones that have, they're losing their hair, they're sick. They're usually true puppies, and they just haven't, it's
like having babies.
It is.
And you already had babies in the newsroom.
I did.
So then you have more babies at home.
I'm someone who, if I owned a house,
Mm-hmm.
I would be that little old lady down the street that has 12 dogs. And so that's why I live in apartments, because I can't help myself. But yeah, I just took care of foster puppies and got them well. I mean, they look horrible. They've lost their hair. They have sores. You just give them some food, some love, and then, in a month or two, they just love you and they feel better and they look adorable.
But it's just hard for you to give them up.
You know what? If I know that they're going to go to a good home, and that's I'm okay with that.
Okay, I heard that part. Got to go to a good home.
A good home.
Uh-huh.
And so yeah, it's very rewarding to do that
that.
kind of thing. Yeah.
But then when you went to Huntsville for your new assignment, what did you do there?
I was news director, which means I ran the whole newsroom.
Okay.
I had about 20 employees.
Really?
And it was a Fox station, and just a great group of kids.
Yeah, once again. I followed you on social media, so I know you were. I was like, Lord, there she goes again. Oh.
But, I love training and teaching and mentoring. And I still have former employees from 20 years ago, 25 years ago, who still reach out to me and ask me
I can
questions.
believe that. I can believe that, because that's that invisible network.
Yes.
So when we
exactly.
got to Huntsville, we took on this new assignment. Mom came with you,
Yes.
and then Mom got sick.
Mom got sick and 2023 was a rough year for us. She was diagnosed with ovarian cancer in March, and she was 87, so she decided, I am not going to go through chemo.
Right.
And as it turned out, it had spread to 6 organs. And so she went into hospice care at home, and she was gone in 3 weeks, which was, as you know, when you have friends or family with cancer,
Right.
it's a blessing, because cancer is just
It's
the
a
most
mean
horrible.
disease. Yeah.
Very, very unforgiving. And so she passed away, and then 5 months later, I found out I had cancer. And
I followed you on social media.
Yep.
And you were very open because you wanted your story to help other women.
Absolutely.
Once again, being the great leader that you are. No, even when you lost your hair, when you were at your chemo treatments, I followed you.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I was really open about it because I ignored the symptoms. It was uterine cancer. Turned out to be stage 3A. And, I tell particularly women who are postmenopausal, do not ignore any symptom. If you're having breakthrough bleeding, I know it's a little open there, but
Right, no, but that's what we need to share.
you need to, or any cramping at all. That shouldn't be happening.
No, that's for young women.
You need to go and see your doctor and, get that D&C. Don't get a sample where it'll just pinch when they take that sample. It don't pinch. It hurts like crazy. Get a proper D&C where they can take it all, take multiple samples. And anyway, I ended up getting, I had to get a total hysterectomy. They took a couple of lymph nodes, didn't find anything. The reason it was a stage 3 is I had a huge lesion inside, but there was just a little one on the outside.
Okay.
So I ended up, they told me I needed to do 6 rounds of chemo.
And I tracked you through that.
Yeah, and so I ended up having to quit my job because there was no way, and I was right. I didn't think I could.
But with Mom, you continued to work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with Mom I kept working. My
Right.
brother, who was a godsend, came up and took care of her. I didn't have to worry about her, and it was amazing. anyway, I quit my job in Huntsville, and on December 15th and December 18th, I started chemo. And I went through that I did 6 rounds, once every 3 weeks. And it lives up to its billing as being, because I had 2 different chemo drugs, plus they started doing immunotherapy on me. And April 1st of this year was my last one. And then 3 weeks later they checked and they couldn't find any evidence.
So we were celebrating that.
Yes, we were. And I decided then I had wanted, because my mom had passed, I wanted to be closer to my brother and sister-in-law.
It's time to go home now.
And they live on the coast in the Cocoa area. And so I thought, you know what, let's move back to Orlando. And I also decided, I want to get back to, I had thought maybe I would just stay out of the business, but I thought, no, I want to get back, mentor, teach, work with young people.
With all that 41 years.
Exactly.
Because we still can get some more work out of you.
Exactly right.
Right.
And so I was fortunate enough to get a job producing at the NBC station here.
Okay.
And it's not management, which is just fine.
Yeah, because right now you got to work on you.
Work on me.
But you can still
and I
help
don't need
mentor
all
that stress.
Exactly right.
Right.
And so I just focus on my newscast every day and get to work with others.
And we saw your news last evening, and it was really good. I made it a point, and I was like, okay, well, they're NBC. And of course, this show airs on NBC in Columbus, where you were part of the management team. And kids really see, your stamp.
Yep.
Because you have very high standards, which is good.
Yes.
That's why I wanted to talk to the women that's rocking and rolling, that have wonderful legacies of leadership, that have trained others coming behind them, and who was better to talk to than you?
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is go to our final break to our sponsors, and we'll be right back. We'll be right back after word from some of our sponsors.
Columbus Pediatrics, Georgia, working together to build lifelong relationships between our staff and patients by consistently providing compassion, excellence, and value with 2 locations. The Old Town office at 3580 Massey Lane, Suite F, 706-596-8667. The Midtown office, 1900 11th Avenue, Suite A, 706-323-3400, ColumbusPediatricsGA.com. Barbara's Cleaning Service, a 5-star commercial service with satisfied customers in Georgia and South Carolina, built on the principle that every detail matters. Barbara's Cleaning Service, a new season building a family legacy. David Benefield at the historic Highland Hall, florist extraordinaire, making dreams come true for all occasions. Visit David and his team today at 1504 17th Street or call 706-324-4881, where happiness blooms.
And welcome back to Straightforward. I am enjoying this wonderful visit with the legendary media person, trained all over the United States, from coast to coast, from Florida to New York to Denver, Texas.
Yep.
I mean, even Alabama.
And North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Georgia.
Augusta. Yeah. We had
several times.
Chattahoochee Valley. Yeah.
Yep.
So your legacy is just amazing. 41 years. You put some time in engineering, which was not a lot of women.
Nope.
Still not a lot of women.
Nope.
And so you learn that piece. You also learn just production from the ground up.
Right.
The young people have to understand, just because you have a degree in whatever that is, you don't get to show up at the news station and be at the news desk. So we always joke about you. If I want to know if something's really true, I say, let me go to Andrea's page, because if Andrea puts it there, she's old school news lady. She has vetted it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of things we see on the internet is not true. And social media people will post things and they haven't vetted it.
Right.
So with you all, you have this invisible network. Because I keep hearing on some of them, they'll say, according to 2 sources.
Mm-hmm.
So someone like you that's been in the business, you all have that kind of behind the scenes.
Right. I mean, we have many sources, whether it's from sheriff's departments, police, certain city officials or county officials will have their favorite people, and it's typically the sources reach out to reporters.
Okay.
And reporters, they keep track, and they're supposed to, as a reporter, you're supposed to cultivate those sources, reach out to them regularly and say, hey, is there anything
Building
going on?
relationships.
Building relationships is key to journalism.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what we have to do. We also have our sources with Associated Press.
Mm-hmm.
We pay money, each TV station pays money for Associated Press.
Really?
We have our NBC sources
Mm-hmm.
because we're an affiliate or whatever the affiliation is.
Right.
We also happen to have CNN. We get some of their video at the same time. But it really is all about building good relationships, never burning a source, never, letting people know if it's an anonymous source. You want to keep them that way.
Right, because if you go back the next time,
They're not talking to you.
They're not, and so you've lost a valuable resource.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that, it's building relationships, and it's, your reputation as a journalist and where you work, it's dependent on you behaving correctly and
Being professional. And not shady.
No.
Because see, shady is just not a
And
good thing.
I've only worked with a couple through the years, and they tend not to go far. They end up getting fired, and so no, you can't afford it. I mean, journalism, true journalism, people complain about the media all the time, but it really irritates me because journalism is in its own lane. It's about truth,
Okay.
true journalism. And
Not
then
yellow journalism.
No, and not
Right.
talk shows, usually on the national networks,
Right.
where it's opinion.
Exactly.
And
It's
so,
the difference between your opinion
oh
and the fact.
yeah,
Right.
you're not. What's the old saying? You're entitled to your opinion, but not your own facts.
Facts. That's right.
And
And so how the business has changed over 41 years, because everything is so digital and very different from you. Like you said, y'all even had old film back in the day.
well, it's really I will tell you, back 30 years ago when I was producing the morning show here in Orlando, over half the audience was watching my morning show.
Really?
That has more than dropped in half, simply because I'm sitting at home, I'm looking at my iPad,
Right.
I've got my phone, I know
Right.
you got your phone,
Right.
you're always working on your phone.
Right.
And so we have hundreds and hundreds of other options out there.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people go to TikTok or watch YouTube videos, or there's just so much competition nowadays that it's the TV business is not as lucrative as it used to be.
Really?
It used to be a 40% profit margin, 50% profit margin, and it's now, some stations are barely breaking even.
Really?
Just because
Are they having just part-time staff? Because, used to be
they
stations.
lay off a lot of staff. There's
Really?
one station in town that's laid off 50 people.
Really?
They used to have 220 and now they have 170.
Really?
And it's just because the business is not as
And this
lucrative.
is a big city. This is
It's
not
a huge, yes.
right.
It's
I
huge.
mean, you got Disney and everybody in
Yes.
the world that's coming.
You
here.
got a couple million people who
Yeah.
see it, so and not to mention all the tourists.
Right.
So tens of millions of tourists. But it's just it's a very tough business to be in nowadays, just because of all the digital
Right.
social
Platforms.
media, digital platform, the websites of the stations. They invest more people in that.
So what would you tell a young person, which I know you work with too many, what would you tell them that, they want to go into, the broadcasting and what is your best advice to them?
If I had an 18-year-old,
Mm-hmm.
if I had an 18-year-old son or daughter, I would tell them, first of all, you're going to come out of college, assuming you can get a job.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to make in the 30s, maybe $40,000 a year to start.
Realistic?
Yes, it's much better than it was before the pandemic when it was $30,000 if you were lucky. And if someone tells me and they come in, they interview for a job and they say, I want to be on TV. Well,
It's not gonna
we don't want to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
That tells me you're not really serious. You're in it for the wrong reasons. You need to be in it for the right reasons And the right reasons are you want to tell stories, local stories. You want to just share stories that are relevant to residents, to your neighborhoods, to your family members if they live in the area. And
so this is not glamorous. This is not your ticket to
oh
Hollywood.
no, it's not glamorous. You can talk to reporters who are out in the rain and driving rain and the sweatiness of Orlando, and they're out there getting those stories
At night.
At night, mosquitoes, and you know, it's not glamorous. It's extremely rewarding though, but because it's a great, you know, if you're lucky enough to get into a newsroom where it's, you know, like the one I'm in now, everyone has been so nice. It's one of the nicest newsrooms I've ever been in. And it really is a family, you know, we all root for each other, we all try to help each other.
It's a team.
It is a team, so you need to be a team player. You need to realize if you go in this business every day, you are making your reputation. And it's a small industry. There are so many, there's not as many people working in the business as you would think.
Well, I am so happy to see you. I will always celebrate you, and I have to, you know, can't let you just stop right here. I'm glad to see that you are doing something as you move toward your retirement.
Yes.
And then when you retire, you're going to
Yes.
take it on the road.
Hey.
You and I. But I'm not riding that motorcycle.
No.
We're not doing that motorcycle you bought.
It's not fun to ride in this town.
I know, it's too hot.
It's too hot. I get swamp ass, as I call it.
So, we don't have to take it on the road. Get a jet.
Yes.
Get a jet.
We'll go in the car.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for hosting us, and we certainly
Absolutely.
appreciate it. All right,
Absolutely.
all right. This has been straightforward. If you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. Until next time, be blessed.
The Autism Hope Center. Diane Pope has dedicated the last 3 decades ensuring that families had support and resources for their loved ones on the autism spectrum. Join the Autism Hope Center for fellowship and resources located at 200 Hamilton Road, Suite B, or call 706-604-6333. Muskogee County Coroner Buddy Bryan. Buddy has set high standards for himself and his staff, ensuring that every citizen is treated with dignity and respect, regardless of circumstances. Buddy cares about crime prevention and is always excited to speak with students and community organizations. Reach out to Buddy at 706-653-3260.
What up, world? What's up, Columbus? Be sure to tune in every Sunday, Straightforward with Gloria Strode, right here on NBC 38.